Hey folks, I'm putting this one up while I'm away at running GAGG. I'm recording this in the past, and you were hearing it in the future on Saturday. So I was having trouble coming up with another idea, and I was watching a bunch of DBZ videos this week, and I was reminded of an old story about one of the first DBZ VHS tapes that I ever collected. A little story to go with that, and I'm not going to go into this one assuming, like, oh, you kids don't know what VHS is or whatever. Like, I'm assuming, again, if you're a fan of my stuff, then you probably grew up with VHS tapes. So, moving right along. When I was a youngin', I was a big collector of VHS tapes. I had a lot of shows, a lot of seasons of shows collected on video for a really long time. And I remember when I was, even when I was like 5 or so, I used to collect a lot of the first couple seasons of Thomas the Tank Engine, because they had a lot of VHS tapes of those, which was nice and convenient considering I didn't feel like watching the Shining Time Station live action bits or whatever in between it. And then I remember when Viz was producing the Pokemon Season 1 VHS tapes at one point. I was collecting a lot of those, and in fact, that's a funny case of I own all of Pokemon Season 1 on all of Pokemon Season 1 and Yu Yu Hakusho Season 1 I own on both DVD and VHS, and Yu Yu Hakusho I own on VHS, DVD, and Blu-ray because I'm insane. That's one of my favorite shows ever. But with DBZ, it was much less often because for some reason that was a show that I could never keep track of like what videos I should get for what. This was obviously back when just the first couple seasons were out. They had the Saiyan saga and the Namek saga. Funimation was producing that out at the time. I remember always seeing the Saiyan and Namek saga VHS box sets, which were cool because something that I loved about the DBZ tapes was that they always had for each saga there was a picture on the side that would show. Like if you collected all of the tapes of one saga, it would make up a little picture. And I was like, oh, that's neat. I always thought that was kind of cool. So, but I remember shortly after there was that kind of transitional period of Funimation kind of moving the production to Dallas and everything. And at that time, the first couple seasons were airing on TV a lot. They eventually kind of made their way onto Toonami. They were just everything from Raditz landing on Earth to Goku in the middle of fighting Berter and Jace from the Ginyu Force. They just kept kind of running that stuff over and over. And then one day I walked into a Blockbuster, and I did see a copy of Tree of Might, but it was just kind of labeled, I think at the time, as just Dragon Ball Z, the movie. Or maybe I just didn't notice the Tree of Might part. But I was like, oh, there's a movie? And I didn't pick it up until way later and thought it was pretty cool, but... there were no new episodes airing for a long time. It just felt like forever. And I remember there were a lot of key moments during the first couple seasons that I would miss just because I wouldn't catch certain episodes at certain times. And also at that time I wasn't researching on the internet a lot of the future stuff. I would see certain action figures of characters. I was kind of familiar with some of the characters that were going to be showing up. I would see pictures of things, but I didn't really know what anything actually was. So it was all very confusing to me, and kind of a cool little mystery. I mean that was kind of what was neat about the time, was that we didn't have access to every single bit of information ever at that time. So everything was still kind of mysterious and oh, I wonder what this character is, or I wonder who that is, or how this is going to happen, or whatever. I didn't really know anything that was going on. So this was still just the midst of the Namek saga, and Freeza was still a big bad guy at the time, and I didn't really have any thoughts or expectations of what would happen later with the show. But I remember one day, another time later, this was before they started re-airing the newer episodes on TV. They were putting out the episodes on VHS first, and I just one day I walk into a Target. I remember it was a Target, and I go to the VHS section and I see just tossed in there a videotape with Piccolo fighting what looked like a bigger, scarier version of Freeza on the cover, and I'm like, what is this? And it just blew my mind. Because again, I'm like 10 at this point. I had no idea what else was going to be happening in the future with DBZ. So I picked this up and I'm like, I've made this discovery. What's going on? It was crazy to me. And, so I guess what they had decided at the time was that they were going to put out the newer episodes on VHS for a home release first. This was before they were going to start airing the rest of the Ginyu and Freeza saga on TV. So I picked up this video and I brought it back home with me, and it was crazy. So I did notice right away, of course, I'm sure like everybody else did, hey, the voices are different. Hey, the music is different. Okay. And except my reaction was not met with absolute rage of, oh no, they've ruined everything, what have they done? It was more of just like, oh man, there's new Dragon Ball Z episodes that I haven't seen. This is amazing. I'm excited. So the story picked up right when Freeza shows up after the wishes have been foiled and everything. So he's fighting Vegeta and Gohan and Krillin. And, this was an edited tape as well. This wasn't the uncut version, but it was still like, enough of an uncut experience that I was like, oh wow, because this is the one where also Krillin gets stabbed onto Frieza's horn. It's all like ridiculous and gross and shit. So that was the thing that was happening. So, but it was really confusing to me, because obviously, even just from compared to what I was watching on TV, I missed all of the Captain Ginyu stuff. I missed the beginning of the Frieza stuff. So I had like no context for what the hell was going on at this point. I just knew like, oh, things have happened. Now they're fighting Frieza. Oh my god. Okay. And so this is the first one where Frieza transforms into his second form and everything. And I also remember distinctly, now I had no idea what the hell the Super Saiyan transformation things were. I had seen the golden-haired versions of Goku and all the other characters on the, the toys and action figures and whatever. But when I saw what was actually Super Saiyan Goku on the side of the VHS tape, because the tapes were like lining up to make a bunch of pictures of characters doing a whole lot of different things. Not only did I not realize that this was Goku, and I thought it was a totally different character, I also thought, in my ignorance, that when I was reading the back of the box, because it was a tape that had I think like 4 episodes in it or so. When I was watching them, I was like, oh, they're talking about Piccolo teaming up with a character named Nail. And I guess I must have missed seeing Nail in all of the episodes of the first couple seasons, because at one point, I shit you not, I thought that the character named Nail was Super Saiyan Goku. Like, oh, maybe some new guy comes in and he helps them or something. Maybe I missed a bunch of stuff. I seriously thought this, which to any normal DBZ fan, they would think, what are you, high? Like, where did you get that from? But was completely just oblivious to anything and everything. But it was cool. It was cool to me to figure out what was going on, because again, I had no clue what was going to happen in the future of the story. I had no clue whatsoever. So it was neat to see to see everything unfold, just completely surprising me. I would later find other DBZ VHS tapes, uncut ones and whatnot. And it was cool to walk into a store not knowing anything about who the androids were or anything about what the deal was with Trunks was or whatever, and just being completely surprised by it. And I was like, oh, this is cool, Just that was a time period that I just completely associate with like childlike wonder. And I mean, that was one of the cool things about anime at the time, is because the internet just wasn't quite as prevalent, so like it wasn't as easy for kids in America to just figure out and find out everything about what was happening like way ahead of time before it would ever air on TV, and so like everything was still like fresh and new and surprising, and it was just a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to just like follow it and be into it, and DBZ is just one example for me, but for the rest of you guys out there, like if you grew up with VHS tapes, do you have like any like interesting stories with like getting a show on tape or like a particular movie or following a series? Did you have a similar kind of experience with a show like DBZ or whatnot, where like you just kind of like discovered some sort of mysterious and cool thing that just as a kid to you it was just neat to find it, and it felt like you'd like discovered something that nobody else had? Let me know in the comments give me an idea of if you've ever had any experiences like that. And if you have any ideas for future Kirblogs, let me know. Give me a suggestion over Twitter or on Tumblr or on Facebook. Feel free. And also, by this time, Tome Episode 2 Part 1 is out on my YouTube channel, and you should go check that out. So here's a link to it, and I hope you enjoy it. And I think that's going to do it for me. So I hope that this weekend while I'm away, I've seen a few of you at Running GAGG, and hope you're all having a good week and a good weekend, and I will catch you all later. Welcome to February. See ya.